A break with the bases loaded, nobody out. Luis Polonia, pinch hitting for Charlie O'Brien, hits this ball to Omar Vizquel. He makes the play, but as you can see, Bruce Fleming, the second base umpire, said he was in the act of throwing, and Vizquel never had control of the ball. Now the Braves did plate 2 runs, 1 on that play, but they could have really broken it open. But that is a rare misplay by Vizquel, and obviously no error given on the play because they did get 1 out.
Grissom, the batter, in the bottom of the 8th inning. Ball 1, 1-0. Two and 0. Grissom, Lemke, and Jones, and then when the Indians batted the 9th, Sorrento, Lofton, and Vizquel. Sorrento hitting in the 9th spot. Hit down to Omar, and Vizquel throws Grissom out. 1 up and 1 down, and that will bring up Lemke. Spectacular autumn night in Atlanta. There was some rain here yesterday. That shot provided by the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes. Beautiful day, clear blue skies in Atlanta, and right now maybe in the upper 50s. Very comfortable. Lemke fouls it back. You know, the city of Atlanta still looking for its first professional sports championship. The Braves have never won the World Series. The Falcons have never been to a Super Bowl. The Hawks have never been to the NBA Finals, much less won one. And their hockey team left town a few years ago. The Calgary, formerly Atlanta Flames, did win a Stanley Cup, but after they left town. So the Braves trying to bring the first title to the South as Lemke takes low. Meanwhile, in Cleveland, if the Indians win the World Series and the Browns, who are playing fairly well, win the Super Bowl, everybody dies happy. It's as simple as that. That's it. Chop, foul at the plate.
It's all over, huh?
It's all over. That's it. Alan Embry is the lefty and Eric Plum is the righty.
Oh, we've been talking about 1954. David Winfield not on the roster for this series. Cleveland losing 4 in a row to the New York Giants. But they have won 2 world championships back in 1920 and 1948.
Funny thing about that 54 World Series when they were swept by the Giants in 4. I mean, that's the one play above all others that probably is etched in baseball fans' minds. Willie Mays back to the plate, holding in the drive off the bat of Vic Wertz. The irony was Wertz was one of the few Indians who had a tremendous World Series.
Yeah, he did.
Didn't he get 4 hits in that game?
Either that game or the one after that, I believe. Cleveland winning 111 regular season games that year.
Ball 3.
And that was during the 154 game schedule.
Wertz in that series hit 500. He was 8 for 16. And that's ball 4. So Lemke walks. Our computers hard at work. Kurt Gowdy and Bill Webb in the truck. No sooner said than done. Here it is. You've seen it a million times. The catch is still every bit as great. Back goes Mays, and only in the Polo Grounds could that catch have been made.
Anyplace else, it's a home run.
I was reading a comment from Bob Feller. He said, you know, we knew he had it all the way.
Yeah, I saw that same quote.
Hargrove now to the mound, and he'll bring in the lefty. He'll bring in Alan Embry here with 1 out and 1 on in the bottom of the 8th inning. Back after this from our ABC stations.
Sunday. No need to cry.
And Alan Embry, a left-hander who throws very hard, comes in relief of Julian Tavares to face the switch hitting Chipper Jones, who is 0 for 3 tonight, and lifts one foul off to the right and back out of play.
Yeah, does he ever throw very hard? 95, 96 miles per hour. Just a couple of years ago, that Tommy John surgery, which is a ligament transplant, right wrist to left elbow. Struggled a little bit in September, but he's got a little bit of a curveball he's been working on, but he can get it up there.
In there.
You think of all the torn rotator cuffs before the Tommy John operation and how many pitchers' careers were cut short. Of course, now it is remarkable what medical science can do.
And it's funny that Tommy John, who had a long and very distinguished career, will be remembered for decades.
Yeah.
For surgery.
Well, Tommy won, I know, somewhere in the mid, like 286 wins.
Right. 26 years.
Paul Ossenmacher. Jones swings late and doesn't get it. And is out number 2. So 2 down here in the 8th inning, and that will bring up Fred McGriff. McGriff homered in the 2nd to tie the game, then bounced out and walked. McGriff is a free agent at the end of the World Series, and the Braves will try to sign him. I think Freddie wants to stay here, but he's going to command a lot of money somewhere. Half swing, strike.
Well, he is a perfect guy to plug right into the middle of your lineup. I mean, even-tempered, obviously a great home run hitter, 27 this year. The last 7 years before that, 30 or more. Soft hands at first base. Terrific guy to have on a ball club.
He's perhaps more ideal for the Atlanta Braves than he would be for a number of other National League clubs, or American League clubs for that matter, because the Braves really don't have another type player like Fred McGriff. One may develop in Ryan Klesko. He would be the heir apparent to the first base job if McGriff leaves or if he signs with another team. But right now, the Braves don't have another player to really replace Fred.
If baseball had a salary cap, their chances of signing McGriff would be next to 0. Funny thing, though, without the salary cap, I mean, I don't want to spend Ted Turner's money, but maybe we will, since he has a lot of Time Warner's money right now, or will.
I was going to say,
they've got a lot of money.
He was throwing a lot around nowadays.
Jane very happy that I'm spending a few of Ted's bucks right now. It's fouled away.
But if you're a realist, I mean, when Freddie McGriff came over in '93, they went 51-17, and he made such a difference. Team average almost 5.5 runs a game. And he's a big reason. I mean, he's the guy you want to hit in front of, because you know you're going to get some good pitches to hit.
And Chipper Jones has said that all year, that's why he gets a lot of fastballs to hit, because of that man.
And down he goes, blows him away with a fastball. So we go to the 9th. It remains 3-1 Braves. Leading it 3-1, and Maddox to try to close it out. He's given up 1 hit tonight. Don Larson, of course, the perfect game, and 4 pitchers have allowed just 1 hit in a complete game in the World Series. And you saw them there. The most interesting case, of course, was Bevins giving up the 1 hit to Lavagetto in 1947. Bill Bevins, the 1 hit at the end of the game to win the game. Broken bat, bouncer down to second, and Lemke throws out Sorrento. Game 1 of the World Series is being brought to you by the makers of Advil. McDonald's, have you had your break today? And Bud Light, official sponsor of the 1996 Olympic team. Make it a Bud Light.
And yet another ground ball out for Greg Maddux. Only 2 outs have been made in the outfield in this game. The major league record in World Series play for fewest fly ball outs to the outfield, 3. The 1956 World Series when Johnny Cuck started against Don Newcomb.
And both outs in the 4th inning. Vizquel a fly ball to center, Bell a fly ball to right. 1 out, bases empty. He has Maddux 2 men over the minimum. The only base runners tonight for Cleveland. Lofton lit off the game with a routine grounder which Belliard couldn't handle, and Thome an opposite field single in the 5th.
Yeah, he's made it look so easy, but it always hasn't been that easy. 1987, he went 6-14 with an ERA of 5.61, almost 5 runs higher.
And that's hit into left field for a base hit. So Lofton with a single. Both hits tonight off the bats of left-handed batters, singles to left field. And that will bring the tying run to the plate in the person of Omar Vizquel.
Got to remind you of the Seattle series, and this is what Lofton did so well. Cut the swing down, very compact, go the other way, because even if he doesn't hit that line drive, a lot of ground balls to the left side with his speed end up to be base hits.
I tell you, Kenny Lofton in this postseason has been so impressive. Those 4 base hits he got off Randy Johnson. You talk about a remarkable job of hitting against a terrifying left-hander.
The lefty is Steve Avery, who could start game 4. The righty is the main man, the closer, Mark Wohlers. Vizquel 0 for 3. Taking all the way, looks at a strike, 0-1.
And with a 3-1 lead with Lofton, who can run at first, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference.
I think McGriff's going to play behind him.
He should.
I think so too. I agree with you.
I mean, that run is meaningless. So what you'll do right now, if you're Greg Maddux and Bobby Cox and the Atlanta Braves, you will trade 2 outs for a run.
Well, you know, the only reason that you'd hold him on here is a possible bunt by Vizquel.
He goes, and it's grounded to the right side, and Lemke plugs up the hole, throws him out, and Lofton's going to go to third, and he's going to get away with it. It's a terrible strategic move, but he gets away with it.
Terrible.
That would have been about the most embarrassing ending to a World Series game ever had Lofton been thrown out at third, because he means nothing at that point, but he gets away with it.
Absolutely.
And it's 3-2.
He's as good on second as he is in the dugout. This is a terrible base running play by a remarkable, terrific base runner. Going to third, it's a 3-1 ball game. Fred McGriff's throw is a little low. Had that ball been on the mark, he's out, and very, very embarrassed.
And he might have done that because of what he did the other night, which was not a good strategic move in Seattle, but it turned out to be perfect because it broke the spirit of the Mariners.
Right.
But had he been thrown out in that game, there would have been the bases empty and 1 out and 2-0 instead of 3-0 and a done deal. So it's 3-2. Baerga at the plate. McGriff charged with a throwing error. 2 out and the base is empty. And it's popped in the air down the left field line, giving chases Devereaux, but can't get there. Strike 1.
Well, normally Devereaux may have a shot at that because he'd be playing more shallow. But with 2 out and nobody on, a 1-run game in the 9th inning, the outfielders are encouraged by Bobby Cox to play deeper than you normally would to ward off the extra base hit.
They also got encouraged by me and anybody on the mound that knows what they're talking about. That's if they're playing too shallow, you turn around and go, whoa, boys, get back there. Baerga with 15 home runs during the regular season, and as Charlie Manuel, the hitting instructor, will tell you, if he's selective and gets good pitches to hit, he's a home run threat. Haven't been a whole lot of good pitches to hit tonight.
Well, I'll tell you, this is one delicious baseball game.
Maddux is a strike away.
Led the National League in innings pitched and only threw 8 home runs. That's the best ratio.
Still 0-2.
Carlos Baerga appears to be hurt. It looks like a groin area or something. These swings that he's been taking have been very funky. You know, he's made a couple of plays tonight where he's ranged wide to his left, maybe a slight pull, and it looks like a groin area type of pull.
Anything for a rally.
Even the way he took the ball. Could have been from a possible swing before. Didn't appear that that was one, but did appear lame after that swing.
1-2, pop, foul, giving chases Jones, and he makes the catch to give the Braves the win. For victory. Jones was so excited he knew he had a play, he almost overran it.
Well, the exuberance of a rookie. He doesn't play like it. He plays like a veteran, former shortstop, and he corrals it. And as you're right, Al, almost did overrun it.
That's why they call him Chipper.
Hershiser suffers his first ever postseason loss, and all it took was Greg Maddux. Ted Turner watches his team make its magic number 3. 3 for a world title. Yep. Even Jimmy Carter would vote for him tonight. So the Atlanta Braves behind Maddux win it by a score of 3-2. Player of the game, the Chevy player of the game. I believe the choice is unanimous. Mr. Greg Maddux, and in conjunction with this program, Chevrolet will contribute a total of $50,000 to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America in the names of all players of the game for the 1995 Major League Baseball season. Bob, and Joe will have games 2 and 3 for you. We'll be back in Cleveland for game 4 on Wednesday night. And let's check in right now with Leslie Visser.
Amanda's having an astonishing postseason. Congratulations to you, Fred McGriff. Talk about tonight and the home run.
Basically, I was trying to be aggressive, first at bat and so forth. Hershiser got a fastball up a little bit, and I was able to get out in front and hit him pretty good. Maddux did a great job. He kept us in the ball game, and he's been doing that all year, just giving us a chance to win.
Yeah, what is so special about Greg Maddux? He said he had some ideas against these hitters. Most of his outs were on the ground.
Great control. Both pitchers tonight had great control. They threw a lot of strikes. I don't know what was the time in this game, but I mean, it was boom, boom strikes, and that's Maddux's game. It doesn't have the fastest fastball in the league and so forth, but he knows how to pitch control.
And so obviously for you, the week off didn't hurt, or for your offense?
No, I needed it. I got a few aching bones here and there, and it was a good chance for me to rest up a little bit.
Great. Well done. On to tomorrow. Back to you, Al.
Okay, thank you, Leslie. So it's Maddux and company in Atlanta tonight. The Braves win it by a score of 3-2 to take the first game of the 1995 World Series.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of the colors which are being presented tonight by the U.S. Marine Corps Atlanta Color Guard. And now to honor America, please remain standing for the presentation of our national anthem, which will be performed tonight by Grammy award-winning MCA recording artist. Please welcome from Monticello, Georgia, Ms. Trisha Yearwood.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
We'll return to the 1995 World Series after this from your local stations.
Most seniors.
Period. He changes speeds very well, moves the ball around, and hitters always seem to underestimate his fastball. But the big factor, he is a proven winner, and he's left-handed. That'll help him against the Cleveland Indians.
Now to Mr. Baseball with Hank Aaron throwing out that first pitch. I'm reminded that as a former Brave teammate of his, you were often the first out of the dugout to shake his hand following a home run.
Well, and a lot of people don't understand that. You had to be in great shape, Bob, because I came all the way from the bullpen and right. And to be first to grab Henry was something unbelievable. Absolutely.
What about Dennis Martinez? We've seen him several times in this postseason, you and I.
Well, a 40-year-old right-hander, and the Braves are going to see a lot of sinking fastballs tonight. Good slider, cut fastball, a curve, and he's not ashamed to come high and tight.
The big question with Martinez, pitching tonight on 4 days rest instead of the full week, which helped him to be so effective in Game 6 at Seattle. And now here is tonight's Budweiser Cleveland Indians starting lineup. Kenny Lofton, who scored both of their runs last night with some base running exploits and some ninth inning maneuvers that raised eyebrows. Omar Vizquel is the shortstop. Carlos Baerga playing with the cast, the inflatable cast on his left ankle, which he sprained in his final at-bat in the ninth last night against Maddox. Albert Bell, the 50 home run cleanup man. Eddie Murray is at first base, not DH, has to play the field in the National League Park. Ramirez in right. Tomey at third. Pena will catch. He's caught most of Martinez's games this year, and Martinez grabs a bat for the first time in a few years. Of course, he did hit some when he was in the National League with the Expos. Glavine was 16-7 this year. His ERA 3.08. A three-time 20-game winner. Flashbulbs popping all around the ballpark on the first pitch. Lofton hitting .341 overall in the postseason, hit .310 for the regular year, and it's down low. 2-0. The plate ump is Jim McKean from the American League, Bruce Fremming of the National League at first, Hirschbeck of the American League at second, Frank Pulley, National League at third, Joe Brinkman, American League left field line, Harry Wendelstedt of the National League, the plate umpire last night, is in right. Lofton, anxious to get on board, makes Glavine throw a strike. Chipper Jones in close at third base. And a chopper. They'll have to hurry with Lofton running. Belliard grabs it and unloads in time for the out. Joe, he puts such pressure on the defense, though. You have to hurry everything.
Well, speed will cause you to make mistakes. Belliard, a fine defensive shortstop, gets rid of the ball very quickly, but we also saw how hard this infield is, and that high chopper was almost a base hit for Lofton.
They got a place like this in Indianapolis called a Brickyard.
You're right.
Vizquel, switch hitter, takes outside. Only 4 for 39 in the postseason. Look at that, 103. Hit 266 for the regular year. On the corner, Harry Wendelstedt appeared to give the edges to both Hershiser and Maddox last night. We'll be watching closely to see how Jim McKean of the American League calls him. Here's the 1-1. Fouled out of play. You mentioned this infield, Uke. It is really rock hard and a lot of inconsistencies. There are some tough hops here. It's tough for both clubs, but obviously more difficult for the visitors.
You know, this ballpark, and I think Joe would attest to that too. We have both played here, and it has been that way since they built this place. I mean, it's always been hard. The dirt portion.
Chipper Jones, a new position, third base, 25 errors during the regular season. Easy chance there.
And as a matter of fact, the outfield the same way. I mean, if you talk to the players about this place, they associate it with artificial surface. I mean, it is that hard. And as we were talking before the game, the infield is almost like birdseed. I mean, with pebbles, little pebbles on the infield, and there's a lot of bad hops, and it's very quick.
Now Baerga. Questionable up until game time. Had he been unable to go, they would have moved Ramirez up to the number 3 slot and played Alvaro Espinosa at second base. Outside a ball.
You know, he told me before the game, Bob, he didn't think the ankle was going to be a problem hitting from the right side, but as Joe and I were talking a little bit earlier, in the field may be a problem for him.
Fastball high and away. Glavine pitched well in one start in the division series at LCS against Colorado and the Reds. No decisions, though. He's 2-2 lifetime in the World Series. Split 2 decisions against the Twins in '91. Did the same against the Blue Jays a year later. Out of play. For the last 5 years running, left-handed hitters have hit for a much higher average against Glavine than right-handed hitters. It's an oddity which we'll ask Joe to explain in just a moment. Or maybe in the next inning, because this should end the first. Belliard got an easy hop. And the Indians are gone in order. Braves coming up when we come back.
There are no medals for being.
Gets out of the box pretty well.
Well, he's running pretty well down the line. He's not that quick anyway, but you can see he's not limping. Striding down the line. That's normal Baerga gait. He will have problems in the field, I believe. That's where his problems will crop up.
And that brings us to tonight's Budweiser Braves starting lineup. The changes behind the plate with Lopez in and O'Brien out. Grissom, Lemke, Jones. The first 3, the top of this order, had the lowest on-base percentage of any team in the National League. Really not setting the table all year long for McGriff and Justice. Klesko behind them hit 23 home runs. Lopez, who's played very well in postseason. Belliard, the weak hitting shortstop, they almost have to pinch hit for him late in the game unless a squeeze situation comes up like it did in the 7th last night. And Glavine, who is not a bad hitting pitcher, he hit .222 for the year. Dennis Martinez at 40 has become the oldest pitcher to win a postseason game of any kind when he won Game 6 in Seattle to wrap up the American League pennant. He could become the oldest ever to win a World Series game. At this point, that distinction is held by Early Wynn, who was 39 years old when he pitched a shutout in Game 1 of the 1959 World Series for the White Sox against the Dodgers. As always, El Presidente, the first native of Nicaragua ever to play in the major leagues, takes a moment of reflection before the first pitch. He prefers the warmer weather. Difficulty with his knee, contemplating off-season surgery. The elbow and then the shoulder went tender on him late in the season. They avoided the cold weather of Cleveland by holding him back for Game 6 in Seattle, and tonight it comes up 65 degrees for him. Grissom steps in and a check swing foul. He has hit safely in all 9 postseason games the Braves have played, including one of their 3 base hits last night. Fastball in on him. Shallow right field and a tough chance for Ramirez toward the line. He makes the catch and it would have been a fair ball. This 1995 World Series game is brought to you by Toyota and their full line of quality cars and trucks. Toyota, I love what you do for me. United Artists Golden Eye. Point the kind of postseason World Series frenzy here in Atlanta that we saw in '91 and '92. After all, this is their 4th postseason appearance since '91. This is a town that has hosted a Super Bowl. They're gearing up for the biggest thing internationally in sports, the Olympics, next year. And maybe this place won't really rock until we come back here, if we do, for Games 6 and 7 next weekend. They'll be roaring from the first pitch on Tuesday night for Game 3 at Jacobs Field in Cleveland because the experience will be so fresh for them. 2-0 to Lemke, who hit .253 for the year. Remember, he had a huge World Series against the Twins in '91. 1 for 3 last night. Taking all the way, 3-0.
Well, 3 times now Martinez has missed high with those little sinking fastballs that aren't sinking here on Lemke. You know, Bob, as we watched him work in Game 6 in Seattle, when they removed him from that game, and we had that shot of him on the bench grimacing in pain and moving his arm and his shoulder, I didn't think he was going to be able to work the rest of the year. But here he is tonight in Game 2.
And he walks Lemke on 4 pitches. Martinez, like every starter we've seen so far, Maddox especially, but also Hershiser and Glavine, is a control artist, averages only around 2 walks for a full game.
That was the amazing thing about Maddox last night, Joe. The fact that, I mean, a couple of times he went to ball 3 counts, but I could not believe watching that guy work how consistent he was inside, outside, wherever he wanted to throw.
Well, he's the best I've ever seen with his control.
Eddie Murray holding Lemke, and a strike to Chipper Jones.
The one thing you'll see from Martinez, he will never give in to the hitter. Even though he walked Lemke, he starts Chipper Jones off with a breaking ball. He will pitch the middle of this lineup tough no matter what the situation is.
Martinez was 12-5 for the regular year, ERA barely over 3. In fact, his ERA and Glavine's identical at 3.08. You might say it's a greater achievement, though, for Martinez in a DH league, and there are generally better hitters parks in the American League than in the National. Jones with a drive to deep right. Ramirez turns. Ramirez to the fence and has to play it on a bounce. Lemke speeds for third. Jimmy Williams holds him up there on a double by Chipper Jones. That went out there like a laser beam, Joe.
And in fact, they had a shot at Chipper Jones at second base, but Baerga cut the ball. He wasn't aware that they still had a chance to get Chipper Jones at second base.
I'm wondering, Joe, if Ramirez may have had a chance to catch that ball. He looked like he may have given up on it too quickly.
Well, you're
assuming that the ball was going to get off the wall. This ball short hopped the wall. It was a high pitch, and Jones gets it all here, and the ball short hopped the wall. I thought Ramirez gave up on it maybe a little too quickly.
On that same kind of pitch from Hershiser, only it was a first pitch fastball last night. McGriff launched a rocket into the seats well beyond the right field fence. Breaking ball down and in for ball one.
And one thing to remember, Bob, the Atlanta Braves hitters had 1 week off, and they felt like they were a little stale in last night's ball game, taking nothing away from Hershiser. But they feel like they are better prepared today because they have seen some breaking balls.
Tapped in front of the plate. Martinez looks at Lemke and now goes to first after Lemke headed back. And in fact, had they thrown behind him, they would have had him in a rundown, but Jones would have moved up, and if he stayed in the rundown long enough, McGriff would have taken second. So once Martinez was sure that Lemke wasn't going to score, he took the easy play at first.
Absolutely. Take the sure out, and they may have had a shot at Lemke at third, Joe, especially after he took about 3 or 4 extra steps in trying to induce Martinez to come that way. They may have had a shot at him then, but he takes the runner, they batter the guy at first, and you get the sure out.
Yeah, that's the proper play. Take the out at first base. If he throws to third base and they even pick him off, they're going to get in a rundown, and you may end up in the same situation. Take the out and let them work from there.
First base open, but Klesko, who hit .310, is on deck. Justice didn't have a big year for him, just .253. But he hit Martinez well when Dennis was in the National League. Over .300 lifetime. A called strike. Good location.
Now that's what you're going to see from Martinez. He's got the cutter and the sinker, and that looked like a 4-seam fastball that time, right on the inside corner. Little Taylor, about knee high, and a strike.
Ball and a strike now.
Let's not forget one thing. That was a great pitch he threw to McGriff to get out of the trouble that he was in for the moment. He threw him a changeup that looked like a fastball. He had great arm speed, looked like a fastball. McGriff topped it right back to him. And he's capable of making great pitches under pressure. That's what separates the good pitchers from the average pitchers.
Every time you think you got this guy timed, he pulls one back on you again. Puts a little more on, takes something off.
Now the 1-1. Perfect pitch. You saw Pena slide outside. There was no way Justice could pull that ball, put it exactly where he wanted it.
I love watching Pena work with Martinez. Here it is again on the outside corner, and just on the outside corner. Jimmy McKeon liked it, but I love watching Pena work with this guy. And throughout this game, you'll watch Tony Pena. You'll see him check hitters, look up at hitters, and see where they're trying to watch. See if they're trying to pick him up, sitting inside or outside.
And he spoils the 1-2 pitch. Again, making him reach for it.
But I think one of the reasons Justice has hit well against Martinez is he feels that he sees the ball well, and Justice is also capable of going the other way. Justice will hit a line drive to left field if Martinez stays out away from him.
Lemke, who walked with 1 out, is at third. Chipper Jones, who followed with a double, is at second. 2 down, no score, bottom of the first, and a 1-2 pitch coming to David Justice. Fans reacting to a good catch made by somebody in pursuit of a souvenir. Actually, somebody up at the press box level.
John Denver.
Again on 1-2. off the outside edge. Justice has 6 postseason home runs, none this year.
Joe, he just doesn't give in, does he?
No, he doesn't.
Talk about Maddox and all these other guys. I mean, this guy has been around forever, and you've hit against him and watched him, and he just does not give in. I mean, he's going to try and get you to chase pitches down low and away, drop a low inside curve on you, slider.
And now he goes full to Justice. And if he's going to throw a strike, Uke, it will be a perfect strike.
I mean, it's almost comical to watch this guy work. I mean, you don't enjoy it as a hitter. I mean, if the umpire is pulling back on you on those outside pitches, Joe, but as a broadcaster, as a spectator, you gotta love watching this guy work. I mean, he just doesn't give in to you.
And the payoff pitch. Breaking ball low, and Klesko will bat with the bases loaded. After trying to run several fastballs toward the outside edge, looked like he went curveball that time, Joe.
Well, he had thrown 3 pitches away. He had to come inside. He chose to come in with the breaking ball. You can see the hole right there in that breaking ball, the spin. That's how you recognize the curveball. The rotation allows you to see it because there's a hole in it.
Bases loaded, 2 out. And Klesko. He threw him the change on the first pitch.
Yeah, he had Klesko way out in front. And again, staying with the sinking fastballs on Justice, flips him a 3-2 curve, he misses, and then starts this kid off with a change of pace. Upstairs.
A ball and a strike. Here's the way one scouting report read a few years ago on Ryan Klesko. In a few years, this kid could be hitting 30 home runs or driving a truck. Looks like the Teamsters will have to wait. 310 with 23 homers. Stepping off and looking the runners back. Martinez taking all the time in the world in a first inning jam. And the 1-1. Good breaking ball. He was nowhere near it. 1-2.
Well, the scouting report on Klesko has to be off-speed pitches, a lot of change-ups. He will chase the change-up because it looks like a fastball and then throw him a lot of breaking balls. This one is just a poor swing. This ball never started in the strike zone, and it's a great play by Tony Pena to save a run. I mean, look how he shifts out there and he makes the catch. Great stop there by Pena. That saves a run.
Absolutely, Joe. Nice play on a breaking ball.
So he's got Klesko 1-2, as he did Justice before walking him. And the count evens. If the Braves should lose Fred McGriff to free agency, it's likely that Klesko will come in from left field and play first base.
I don't see how this club can't sign him, though. I've always liked McGriff. I've always thought he's been a good first baseman. Got power. He's going to hit for average for you. Good guy on the ball club, too.
The 2-2.
And one thing to remember, this was not a real good ball club until Freddie McGriff came over in '93, and they went 53-17 after he arrived. But more than just the bat that he brings a certain personality, a calming personality to the young players, and he keeps the veterans on their toes. He is a leader as well as being a good RBI man and a good home run hitter.
Remember that bolt he hit in the All-Star game a couple of years ago? In Pittsburgh?
Off Lee Smith.
Wow.
Another 2-2 pitch. Ground ball foul.
I say last year, 2 years ago, last year.
You know, with all the strikes and the other nonsense, it's hard to keep track.
It is, you're right.
There's the crime dog.
There he is. Yep.
A lot of clubs will bid his price up once this season is over. But that's part of the Braves' success. The farm system is so deep they can replace departing players and they can trade prospects for veterans when they need them. Another 2-2 pitch. And a high pop-up, and I mean a mile high. But when it comes down, the Indians should be out of the inning. Thome has it in fair ground. The Braves leave the bases loaded. No score after a long first.
It has dominated the field. And now Toyota's newest 4x4 Tacoma has arrived.
Why, Joe?
Well, the main reason is because he stands to the third base side of the rubber to get a better angle on the right-handed hitters. His fastball tails away and his changeup will move away. But that hurts him against left-handed hitters because he can't get the angle for the curveball. See how he stands way over toward third base. That's a great angle for his sinking fastball away from the right-hander and the changeup away. But again, it hurts him because he can't start the breaking ball at the left-handed hitters.
Albert Bell, a terror with 50 regular season home runs and a batting average of .317 in the postseason. Very tame until now. .219, 2 homers, 4 RBIs. Led the American League in homers, slugging percentage, runs, total bases, extra base hits. Tied Mo Vaughn for the RBI lead and Edgar Martinez for the lead in doubles. That's out of play.
He hit a ball well to right field last night after seeing enough stuff away from Maddox. And Greg just staying outside corner, or just off against Bell. And Albert finally hit a ball deep to right. But I mean, Maddox, again, last night, Joe, with every Indians hitter, but especially with this guy. And there you see Greg Maddox. That's about how he looked last night when he was pitching, too. Did he sweat last night at all?
Look at him.
I didn't see it.
Looks a little bit like Clark Kent, doesn't he?
Or Charlie Sheen.
Glavine works 1-1 to Bell.
You wonder sometimes if a guy like that showers after the game. I mean, you know, no sweat, no perspiration, easy game, nice job. Walks in the clubhouse. See you guys tomorrow. Get in your car with your uniform on and head home.
And the 2-1 pitch. Sounded like a broken bat, but it finds the hole for a leadoff single.
Well, Glavine got a changeup away, which is the way they're going to pitch to Bell. Changeups away, a few fastballs off the plate in. This one is away, hits it off the end of the bat, but he finds a hole on the right side. But Glavine is not too unhappy with that. Now watch, changeup away, right off the end of the bat. And you can see Bell had really opened up. Not a lot that he could do with that pitch other than what he did.
Now Murray, who played only 18 games at first base for Cleveland, once a terrific fielder as well as hitter. And a drive on the first pitch that may leave the yard. Chasing it into the corner is Klesko, and it's gone. Forget about the glove work. He can still hit.
Well, he had been 0 for 11 from the right side in postseason play, but he can always hammer that high fastball. Glavine makes a mistake, and Eddie Murray makes him pay for it. High fastball.
Now that one didn't ride, Joe. It didn't ride away from Murray. Here it is one more time. As you said, high hanging fastball, and when he hit it, he knew he got it all. Right on the fat part. Klesko to the wall. Adios.
So after the Braves leave the bases loaded in the bottom of the first, the Indians immediately strike for 2 in the top of the second. Glavine seldom allowed a home run during the regular year. In 200 innings of work, only 9.
But he did struggle a lot in the early innings. He gave up most of his runs early in the ball game. But I think this was very important for the Indians to show the Braves that they can score, that they can put some numbers on the board.
Ramirez, who had 31 homers of his own during the regular season. 2-1.
Well, as they did against Seattle, losing game 1, coming back, lose the opener in Cleveland, come back, and then sweep from there. I mean, this club can score runs and score them in a hurry.
Only Greg Maddux allowed fewer home runs in the National League this year. He gave up 8, Glavine 9. The Indians have been shut out only 3 times all year, never held to as few as 2 hits, until Maddux shut them down last night.
When you watch Glavine and Maddux, you're watching 2 clones almost. The only difference between the 2 is that Maddux in the entire ball game last night never got a fastball up that high. Glavine doesn't have quite the control that Maddux has, but he's very close.
Full count to Ramirez. He reaches for it and rolls it to Jones, who charges and throws him out. Well, Tom Glavine is 3-6 overall in terms of postseason decisions, 2-2 in World Series play. And he has been, at least to date, a different pitcher outside the regular season. In 74 innings of postseason work, he's allowed now 11 home runs. So he's made a lot more mistakes in these big games. Ordinarily, Espinoza would start at third against a left-hander for the Indians. But considering that lefties hit Glavine better, Thome stays in the lineup tonight for Mike Hargrove.
Now, the other thing with left-handers against Glavine, Joe, the fact that he's got that rider that will bust away from a right-hander, but it's right into the left-hander's power. Well, and if he doesn't really get it inside, it's a good ball to hit.
And not only that, a lot of left-handed pitchers do not like to throw left-handed hitters changeups, and the changeup is one of Glavine's best pitches. I think he will throw Thome some changeups and try to keep them away.
One out, nobody on, 2 runs home in the second. And 1-2 to Thome.
It's amazing in this series thus far, and it's early, but how many Indians hitters, Joe, continually are trying to pull the ball against Glavine tonight and Maddux last night, despite the fact that they're being pitched away. I know you're saying to yourself, wait back and go the other way, but when they change speed so often against you, it's tough to lay back.
That's true.
Misses, 2-2. Mike Hargrove said he had one regret about last night's game. Wished that he had pitched out on the first pitch to Rafael Belliard. A lot of people were anticipating the squeeze. Bobby Cox said he decided to put it on when he ran out to second base to argue. A bouncing ball toward Lemke. Easy play for him. He made only 5 errors all year long and might win his first Gold Glove. Anyway, Cox said when he ran out to argue the play where Vizquel appeared to juggle the ball, trying to get the force at second, and Bruce Fleming called the runner out anyway. As he was running out there, he's thinking, well, Belliard's up next. We got a man at third. We're going to put the squeeze on here. And Hargrove wasn't 100% sure. And with the bases loaded, I guess he didn't want to run the risk of having his pitcher fall behind with the first pitch out.
Well, but I think also one of the problems is that Hargrove has managed in the American League his entire life with the designated hitter. He is not accustomed to making those types of decisions with 8th place hitters up there. They do not put the squeeze on very often in the American League because they have DHs.
Let me correct myself. First and third after the force play, not bases loaded in that situation in the 7th. Go ahead, you.
Wasn't it funny when Bobby Cox told us, he said, when I put it on, I say to myself, hey, if he pitches out, we're dead anyway, but I'm going to take a flyer.
Pena taking a little stroll to gather himself, behind in the count 0-2. In the air, center field, Grissom. 3 straight outs after a single by Bell and Murray's 2-run homer. And the Indians have the lead. In fact, he came out early.
Wow, I really got to thank my good friend Bob Uecker. Came through with 2 great seats here, even in the front row. But wait a second here, you've given me tickets to a place where they're not going to be playing for another year and a half. I guess that's why you gave them to me. But we're over here at the Olympic Stadium. It's going to be completed in about 103 days from now. It'll seat for the Olympics 85,000 people. Then for the 1997 season, the Braves will move in here, and it'll be reconfigured and chopped down to about 49,000. So, Uke, I can tell you had great pull for tickets for me tonight. So I'm counting on 2 from you for the opening ceremonies.
Oh, the zany hijinks.
I don't get around a lot, okay?
Oh, no?
No.
No.
To me, it looked like he was in the second row. I mean, I could be wrong, you know? I know Jim's fired up for this week in Atlanta, and he's back home, and what a place that is next door, though. Wow.
And then when they reconfigure it, it'll be one of those new old parks, like Jacobs Field in Cleveland, like Coors Field in Denver, like Camden Yards in Baltimore.
This one is bye-bye. Following the Olympics.
This is where your career ended, isn't it, Uke?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you know, when we were in Bobby Cox's office today, that was the second time I was ever in the manager's office here in Atlanta. The first time was when Lumen Harris told me I was out of here. Matter of fact, I went in to ask him, and he said, "Get out."
Well, no point beating around the bush.
Nah.
They get right to the point. Lopez on the first pitch bounces one fair. Thome behind the bag, and Murray stays on the bag at the other side of the diamond for the first out. Saw those shots of Fulton County Stadium and the new Olympic Stadium, a work in progress from on high. It's the Goodyear Blimps Stars and Stripes from Pompano Beach, Florida. This is the 30th World Series Goodyear Blimps have televised. The pilot is Captain Larry Chambers.
That was nice coming back in here and getting a chance to get back into the clubhouse, Joe, where I was a long time ago. You, of course, here in the visitors clubhouse many times, but still a lot of old friends here and people who saw me play and were upset.
Belliard lofts one down the right field line, and Ramirez on the run with a nice play in the bullpen area in foul ground. Ramirez is not known as an especially good outfielder, but a fine running catch there.
Al, he ran a long way for that ball. It almost popped out. It looked like at the last moment, right when he caught it, that he was going to lose it. Little ice cream cone there, but he hangs on. Double clutch, he grabs it, and a nice running play by Ramirez. Tell you what, they talk about this guy not being all that great in the outfield, and he's getting better and better, because from time to time Hargrove uses Kirby in the late innings when the Indians are in front. But this guy can throw, and as Hargrove has told us on numerous occasions, he's getting better and better all the time.
2 quick outs. Here's Glavine. He hit .222, had 8 RBIs, and hit his first major league home run in August in this ballpark against the Reds. We're in the bottom of the second. Eddie Murray's homer following an Albert Bell single in the top half of this inning has given the Indians a 2-0 lead. Braves had second and third with 1 out, bases loaded with nobody out in the first against Martinez, and couldn't score. Off speed pitch, cut on and missed. Martinez really had to work in the first. He threw 25 pitches. Ahead of Glavine now 1-2. He's on the verge of making very quick work of Atlanta in the second. And he does. That's his first strikeout. A perfect second inning. Still 2-0 Cleveland. Atlanta, the Indians trying to get even before an off day tomorrow, and then game 3 Tuesday night at sparkling new Jacobs Field. Check the football scores. Wild one at Soldier Field, and the Bears win it. The new St. Louis Rams with their comeuppance at this point. They had been 5-1. San Francisco tying them atop the NFC West and pasting them in the process without Steve Young. Jets squeaking by Miami. Where did that come from? Atlanta over Tampa Bay. Here's Martinez stepping in. He was a 143 hitter in his years with the Montreal Expos.
What do you think he just said, Joe? Feels a little strange looking at that first one.
Look at this. Carolina's won a couple of games in their maiden season. Kansas City winning in the snow at Denver. Oakland over Indy. Sounds right to say Oakland Raiders again.
It does.
San Diego beats Seattle. Bruce Fleming involved in the controversy at second base last night, and the replay showed that he missed the call. They checked with him on this one to see if Martinez committed himself, and he says yes, he did.
Yeah, it was a good call by Bruce Fleming that time. Martinez now as a hitter didn't think he went. All Fleming said last night was, I had it right. I had it right.
And he and his colleagues usually do. Last night he didn't.
Yeah, he was a little off last night. No big deal.
The 2-2 pitch. Line drive caught by McGriff.
Well, you have to give El Presidente a pat on the back because he fought hard on this, and he finally hits a line drive down the right field line, but McGriff had him played perfectly.
Since 1986, when Peter Ueberroth changed things a little bit during his stint as commissioner, they've been using the DH in the American League Park in the World Series and no DH in the National League Park. Under those rules, National League pitchers have hit 167. American leaguers, before that Martinez at bat, have hit 100. On the other hand, American League DHs in their parks have hit 256. The National League's DHs, this is kind of surprising because you should just pull a good bat off the bench, just 195.
Yeah, but you have to remember, being a DH is like pinch hitting, and that's the most difficult job to do. People who are accustomed to DHing, you know, have a rhythm. They know how to prepare themselves.
Lofton grounded out his first time, a bullet, but Lemke has it. So they keep Lofton off the bases. A couple of steals and scored a run in the first. No one in the park knew what he was thinking in the ninth when they were down 2 and he tried to go from first to third on a ground out. He not only made it but forced McGriff into a wild throw, but it was a strange choice by Kenny.
He did score the run. He was fired up about it and fired up today yet. But that was a tough play, and could have been a very embarrassing play for Kenny Lofton.
I really think he helped Greg Maddux in that situation. He took him out of the stretch where he could go to the windup, and all he had to do was keep the ball in the ballpark. And he threw all changeups away to Baerga. So I really think that worked to Cleveland's disadvantage. If he would have stayed at second, Greg Maddux would have had to stay in the stretch.
You know, it's almost tough to tell a guy like that, Joe, who's so aggressive. I mean, he's like that all the time. You know, to kind of pull back on yourself a little bit.
Vizquel slices one foul.
Boy, what a job he did in that playoff series against Randy Johnson, didn't he, Bob? I mean, and Joe, you saw it. I mean, I don't care who you are as a left-handed batter. That guy is intimidating. And Lofton hung in there on breaking balls, and then when he'd get the high fastball, I mean, he'd rifle a bullet to left.
And he broke the backs of the Mariners with that scamper from second base on the pass ball.
And taking nothing away from the Bulldog, Hershiser's performance in that series, I still think Lofton was the most valuable player personally.
Well, when he scored from second in the 7th inning, it was 3-0, but the game and the series were over.
And the voting was already done.
Yeah, you can, right. Hershiser had already won at that point, but you could see the shoulders of the Mariners sag.
Absolutely.
After fighting so hard and so well for so long, they were done after that play. 2-2 to Vizquel.
Yeah, you wouldn't get any argument there, Joe, but I think everything had been done already. And as you look at Orel Hershiser, last night's loser in a very tough outing.
First postseason loss ever. Now 7-1. Vizquel pops one in foul ground. Chipper Jones going back. It's a tough chance. He's into the bullpen to make the catch. All kinds of foul ground in this ballpark. You saw it with Ramirez earlier. Jones here. Indians out in order.
Normally this ball is caught by the shortstop or the left fielder, but look, he goes all the way down in the bullpen. The ball never in his sight, always over his shoulder, and he makes a fine catch there in the bullpen.
You play a full year in this park. All that foul ground is going to take some points off your average, isn't it?
I would say that it takes at least 10 to 15 points off of every hitter's average here playing in a ballpark with this much foul territory.
Grissom fly to right his first time up, and Martinez is outside with it. Last night, Tim McCarver said he felt that Marquise Grissom was the best defensive center fielder in all of baseball. He's certainly on the short list. I wonder if you guys agree that he's number one. Here's the pitch.
Now, my statement would be that Darren Lewis in Cincinnati is very good, but it's like these two ball clubs. It depends on which one of these teams you've seen the most that you're most impressed with. And I think Darren Lewis and Marquise Grissom are probably the two best center fielders in the National League.
Well, I've seen Lofton, and I think anybody who talks about center field would give you an argument, being a Cleveland fan and watching Lofton throughout the year. And I think maybe you notice it more with the Indians club, Joe, because of Ramirez and Bell in right and left, who are not the fastest guys. And Lofton has to cover a lot of ground, and he throws good. He throws a lot better than a lot of people think he does. He's got a very good arm, and he has excellent speed, as we said. There's Ramirez in right, and Bell flanks Lofton in left.
What about Junior Griffey?
Well, I was talking about the American National League.
I mean, you can talk about Griffey. I mean, he's probably in a class by himself. I mean, he's a great all-around hitter and power and has a great throwing arm. I don't think he has the speed of a Lofton or a Grissom or a Lewis.
Martinez came down sidearm, and this ball will drop out of play. Ramirez had no chance.
This is what hitters moan and groan about. You know, Joe, as a catcher, when a guy hits a fly ball and you're running down the line to back him up or take a throw behind the bag, if these balls are hitting foul territory, you can hear those hitters hollering and screaming and everything else in this ballpark. The other one is the Oakland Coliseum, another one with a tremendous amount of foul territory.
Another 1-2 pitch to Grissom. Fastball, tried to run it in on him and just missed. 2-2. You know, Tim's point, and a good one, about Grissom is how shallow he plays, reminiscent of Paul Blair for so many years in the American League, and yet he will turn and go hard to the wall. I mean, really, he doesn't shy away from the wall. He made a running catch in Game 3 of the LCS off Jeff Branson that, if it were made in the World Series, would probably be on the all-time highlight reel. Did it get him? Yep, he's on his way to first. The fans booing, and in fact, as you mentioned, Uke, Martinez does pitch inside a lot. He hit 12 men this year, but it is obviously not his intention to hit Grissom as the leadoff man.
No, you're right, and I think this is a sidearm fastball, and you can see it. You can see that spin on that ball sinking inside. I don't think he wanted to come in this tight for sure. I mean, to get in tight, fine, but that one nailed Grissom. And again, Martinez will do it all night long. I mean, he's not intimidated by the fact that he hits a hitter or hits a batter once in a while. He'll still come in there, but not with that guy, as you said, Bob, as a leadoff man.
Lemke drew a walk in the first. Grissom stole 29 to lead the Braves. Nobody else in double figures on this squad in terms of steals. Not going, and Lemke fouls one off.
And Lemke swung at that like it was a hit and run, and then he looked down at Grissom at first base as if to say, you missed a sign.
That's what he's looking at right now to Jimmy Williams. He said, hey, did I miss one?
Yeah, well,
or did he?
Well, you see this pitch is way outside, and he's protecting Grissom, but Grissom was not running. And then in the next pitch, Williams gave emphatic signs like, hey, you missed one, watch me.
That's what Bobby Cox is saying right there, too. What's going on? Did he miss one?
Not going again. And a soft line drive in the center. Here comes Lofton. It drops in front of him. Grissom wasn't sure. He stops at second. Time runs aboard in the bottom of the third.
That's one of those situations where you say, I hit it like he threw it. It was a changeup, and he just flipped it out in the center field for a base hit.
Well, he went down on Hershiser's fastball last night and lined a bullet to center after Hershiser kept going away on him, Joe. When he finally had to come in there, and Lemke's sitting right on it. Knee-high fastball hit a bullet to center.
Now Chipper Jones, who doubled his first time up. 2 on, nobody out. And ball 1.
And because Chipper hit a high fastball his first time up, Martinez starts him off with a curveball here, and he will probably try to get him with changeups and at least try to get the sinker down and away.
When you get a close-up of Jones, you can still see the effects of the fat lip. During the workout on Friday, a ball ricocheted off the wall and caught him right in the mouth.
I asked him tonight, I said, how's it feel? He said, fine. I said, it looks great.
You know, it adds to that old-time baseball feel that this kid has about him. Wearing the pants high, the look of him.
This is a situation where Baerga's right ankle may come into play here, not being able to cover the ground on the right side.
Sneaking in behind, and they throw it away. Martinez trying to pick Grissom off, instead allows him to advance to third. Lemke holds first.
Joe, this looks like a situation where Martinez may have thought that Baerga was going to be the cover man. He threw that ball on the right side of the bag, on the right field side of second, not even close to Vizquel, who was the cover man. Look where that throw is. And even had it been Baerga, it may have been wide for Baerga to the right side, too. Heads up play by Lemke, I was going to say, to stay at first, not taking a chance on getting thrown out at second by Lofton.
Huge trouble for Martinez. Behind on the count, 2-0. Jones swings and drives one to left. Albert Bell will make the catch. Grissom tags and scores. Lemke retreats to first. And it's 2-1.
That is one of the reasons that a lot of people think Chipper Jones should be the Rookie of the Year in the National League. He drives in runs. He produces runs for this ball club. And this is a great situation here. See, he goes the other way. Doesn't try to pull a ball. He knows all he has to do to get the run in is hit a fly ball to left field, so he does that. Good hitting there. That's the sign of a good RBI man for the future. He's going to be a good one.
McGriff was a big out for Martinez in the first. Got him on a comebacker with runners at second and third. This one deflects off Martinez's glove. Baerga throws on the run and got him. Had to come in and barehand it and score it 1-4-3.
Well, he showed no ill effects from his right ankle there. Nice play by Baerga. He actually starts back up the middle because the ball was hit up the middle. Then he has to reverse his field, and you have to put pressure on your right ankle to come back to your left. Does a good job, gets there, barehands it, and barely gets McGriff at first base. Good play.
You know, I wonder if Martinez doesn't touch that ball, Joe, if Baerga has a chance to start an inning-ending double play with Vizquel. That ball was hit to the left of Martinez, and it looked like Baerga may have had a chance to make the play on it. We'll never know.
Martinez still an excellent pitcher, but one thing that goes when you get to age 40, your reflexes slow a little bit. He's been hit by 3 or 4 comebackers this year where he couldn't quite get the glove up, been hurt on a couple of them. And here he was a little slow to react. The ball he might have gloved was deflected instead.
I think in the first couple of innings here, Bob and Joe, we've seen Martinez throw more high fastballs than he has over his last 3 or 4 starts. And I mean, as long as they're in the area where he's throwing them off the outside or off the inside, he's going to be all right there. But if he takes one high and around a hittable area, somebody's going to stiff him.
2-0 now to Justice, who doesn't have an extra base hit in this postseason and has just 1 RBI in 9 Braves division, LCS, and World Series games to date.
And he has hit well against Martinez in the past, but I think a lot of the injuries he had this year has really taken its toll on his production. Sore shoulder, bad shoulders, bad knees, bad ankles.
The 2-0 pitch is ripped to right. Ramirez a late break. It bounces in front of him. Lemke being waved home, and the game is tied. The pitching coach, Mark Wiley, will go to the mound. Looked like a high fastball, and at the crack of the bat, Joe, Ramirez froze.
That's exactly right. It was a high fastball, and he didn't get a good break on the ball. But if you take a look at the Atlanta Braves, they're not a real good hitting ball club overall, but they do produce runs, and this is another way they produce runs. They get a lot of 2-out base hits. I don't know why Lemke was hesitating, because there are 2 outs. He should have been going with the crack of the bat, but he hesitated at second base, and Ramirez hesitated in the outfield, so maybe neither one of them knew how many outs there were.
Look at Lemke. He's upset. In last night's game, Joe McGriff at third on that ball that was hit to Vizquel that was bobbled, and McGriff actually went back to the bag thinking they're you know, the situation, didn't know the situation, eventually scored. I mean, had no problem scoring. They were going to give the run for the double play, talking about the Indians, but McGriff went back to the bag, not knowing how many outs there were. Dennis Martinez, again, when he starts getting upstairs and in the hitting area, look out.
He breezed through the second, but in the first and the third, the pitches have really piled up. Remember, a full week's rest, and even then they pulled him after 7 in Seattle when he clinched it in Game 6. Only 4 days rest for tonight's start. Last night Indians led 1-0, couldn't hold it. Tonight 2-0, and now it's tied 2-2. 1-1 to Klesko, who figures to be the DH when we go to Cleveland, and then Bobby Cox will have to make a choice. Mike Devereaux's a right-handed hitter. Indians start all right-handers, but Devereaux was the LCS MVP and is a better defensive outfielder than Polonia or Smith. Couldn't check. 1-2. So it'll be an interesting decision for Cox. Smith and Polonia, the left-handed hitters. He could hold them both back in anticipation of guys like Tavares and Mesa coming out of the bullpen late in the game, so he has good left-handed pinch hitters available. Breaking ball, tap foul.
How about when we were in Bobby Cox's office tonight and talking about his options, and he asked us, what would you guys do? What'd you guys do? I'll do what you guys want to do. That's what he said. He's great. He really is. What a great guy to talk to. Doesn't hold back anything. Siegel, obviously.
Two and two. This for Cox is his 5th postseason. 4 with the Braves, and then in 1985. A very good Toronto Blue Jay team had a 3-1 lead on Kansas City, the eventual world champions in the American League playoffs. And Kansas City won the 5th game at home and the 6th and 7th in Toronto. And did the same thing against the Cardinals, down 3-1, and came back to
usually gives up his runs in the first 3 innings. In fact, in the course of the season, he gave up 40 runs in the first 3 innings and only 36 for the remainder of the ball game. So he gets better as the game progresses.
The 2-0. A fastball hit high in the air to left. Back goes Klesko to the edge of the warning track, and he has it. This 1995 World Series game is brought to you by Chevrolet, the cars and trucks 36 million people depend on every day. genuine Chevrolet. Sharp Electronics Corporation. From sharp minds comes sharp products. And Tagamet HB, the most prescribed medication of its kind, is now for heartburn. Tagamet HB. Now it's Bell, who poked an opposite field single to right, leading off the second, and then trotted home ahead of Murray, who homered as the next hitter. And a ball outside. Since they sawed Albert's bat in half after game 1 of the division series, he's managed only 1 home run. That was off Bob Wolcott in game 1 of the LCS in Seattle, and generally he hasn't hit well.
Are you making a statement there?
I'm just asking a question, really.
I'll tell you what, he's seen a lot different pitching too than he saw in that series. When they keep throwing balls away on you, away, I mean, it's tough to hit them. I wouldn't check anybody's bat for cork either. There it is again, outside a ball, and he chased it. I mean, when you're an Albert Bell, I mean, he can take you deep in any part of the ballpark. Sooner or later, he's going to look out there and hit one deep to right or hit one out.
Both these pitching staffs have done to good teams and great hitters what those teams and hitters never experienced during the regular season. The Indians shut down the 2 Martinezes and even Griffey to a certain extent for Seattle, completely shut down Vaughn and Canseco in the heart of the Red Sox order. The Braves held Cincinnati with Sanders and Gant doing almost nothing, especially Sanders held them to 5 runs in 4 games. Shut the Indians out with Maddox on 2 hits last night. That adage about good pitching stopping good hitting has never been truer than in this postseason. Seattle got only 12 runs in the LCS against the Indians. That's a record low in any postseason series that went 6 or 7 games.
Well, the reason for that, Bob, is that good pitchers can always get to hitters' weaknesses. Average pitchers can't get to their weaknesses. You have to be able to pitch to a hitter's weakness to keep them under control.
2-2 pitch to Bell, and the count runs full. The first 5 outs Glavine got were all ground outs. The last 5 have all been in the air. I'll ask Joe after this pitch if he attaches any significance to that. Struck him out, which is the first K put in the scorebook tonight by Glavine. Before we get to Joe's response, let's pose a question. Tonight's Toyota Diamond Dust baseball fact: Lefty Williams, as you all know, lost 3 games for the Black Sox in the 1919 World Series. Might not have been trying to win them. Which former Yankee is the only pitcher to lose 3 games in 1 World Series?
Do we have to have it now?
There is no prize, so
okay.
take your time.
All right.
Here's Murray, who homered his first time. Outside for a ball. What about
the significance for me is that now he's going to more changeups, whereas he was throwing more fastballs, sinking fastballs early. But I think that's his MO. That's why he gives up more runs in the first 3 innings than he does later in the ball games. I think he finds his rhythm and he starts to use his changeup more effectively. The high fastball was the one that Murray hit out. Some of the balls were hit on the ground were sinking fastballs, but now a lot of changeups are being mixed in, so he's getting a few more fly balls.
And he falls behind Murray 3-0 with Ramirez on deck.
That's like 3 in a row. 3 off-speed pitches in a row, Joe, and the last one high and outside against Murray, but again, the off-speed stuff.
Right.
You and I talked earlier about Murray, and as he gets along in years, still sits on fastballs both ways. And I mean, if you make a mistake, he still hits you hard and hits you deep.
And Glavine is well aware that a green light is flashing if Eddie Murray sees something he likes. Come on back, Eddie.
Well, that was not a fastball. That was not a 4-seam fastball. Looked like he turned us over a little bit and took a little bit off, and Eddie is questioning the pitch. See, that is not his good fastball. That is a fastball that he took a little bit off of. We should see a lot of rotation, and you do on that, because he's turning it over a little bit and taking some of the speed off.
The 3-1 pitch. Now he strolls to first.
Same pitch.
So Glavine records his first strikeout and his first walk on consecutive hitters here in the fourth.
Jimmy Williams, that's the Braves third base coach.
They want him to play behind Murray at first base. At least that's what he thought. I thought he was saying, but now he's changing his mind. At first, they wanted him to play behind Eddie Murray at first base.
Here's Ramirez, grounded out his first time. He is 6 for 37 now in the postseason, and 4 of those 6 hits came in one game. 4 for 4 with 2 homers in Game 2 against Seattle at the Kingdome. Apart from that one game, he has been a confused young hitter up there.
You know, and for the most part, Bob, and we watched him last night and here tonight, anything down and away, he's still trying to pull.
Hits this ball hard, though, and it drops in for a hit.
Actually, that was an example of what you're talking about there, Bob. That was a sinking pitch away, and he actually hit it. Look, it was a line drive, but he broke his back. That was a good pitch there by Glavine, and he did try to pull it. See where this pitch is? Down and away. He tries to pull it, breaks his bat, but he hits a line drive. You have to be very strong to do this. Right out there on the end of the bat, but he's strong enough to get it over the infield to the line drive.
He's got excellent power the other way, John. As I said, I'm surprised throughout this series thus far and the league championship series that he hasn't made his mind up a little bit more to really try and go the other way. I mean, he did it when he hit the 2 home runs in Seattle. He hit one to deep right center, and as he talks with Davey Nelson, the Indians first base coach, I mean, he can't hit that way. He's going to be a good hitter. I mean, he's a solid young hitter now. Here's a kid hits 23 years old with 31 home runs this year, and I mean, tremendous power, and he hits for average.
Thome stands in and takes a ball. He's 0 for 1. His 8 postseason RBIs are the most on the Indian squad.
Well, you see, he's done very well this year against left-handed pitching. 275, that's a good average for a left-handed hitter against left-handed pitching. He didn't hit with much power, but yet he improved his average a lot.
1-1.
But remember, in the past, Glavine has not been that effective against left-handed pitching. And I always wonder why he doesn't move over to the first base side of the rubber when he's pitching to left-handers and go back to the right-hand side of the rubber when he wants to pitch to right-handers. So he stays over on the third base side, and that takes a little bit of the angle away from the left-handed hitter.
Sliced foul, 1-2.
I know one thing, if you're going to stay on that side, and not so much with a fastball, Joe, as you talked earlier, but if you're going to try and throw breaking balls to a left-handed batter as Thome heads back to the dugout for a new piece of wood, if you're going to start from that angle and throw breaking balls to a left-hander, you're going to have to start that thing way inside on that guy to have it come back and catch the corner or be a decent-looking pitch to hit anyway.
At 39, Eddie Murray obviously doesn't run very well. What about the outfield arms in case of a sharp single here with 2 out?
I still think that he will be able to score, especially with 2 outs. And you look at Klesko in left, he doesn't throw that well. Justice used to throw very well, but he's had problems with his shoulders this year. Grissom, average thrower in center field. Not any great arms in the outfield here.
The 1-2 pitch, called strike 3. 2 strikeouts in the inning. 2 men stranded. Still a 2-2 game.
Hank, this stadium will go down. It'll be torn down in a year from now after next season. Does that disappoint you? Does it bother you?
A little bit, but like everything else, time has to progress,
Should this be preserved as a historical monument?
I think in some parts of it, I think it's going to be historic, going to be preserved. I don't know whether the home run or whether the statue outside. I think some of it will be preserved.
Right now, the plans are to keep the wall. Is that enough? Will that satisfy you, or are you still disappointed in it?
No, I'll be satisfied. That's fine. This is a brand new stadium we building over across the street, and it's going to be fine facilities for the Atlanta Braves.
Hank, you don't come to many games. Is there a reason why?
No, really, and people ask me why I don't come to many games. I can probably stay at home and enjoy the game probably as much as I want to. I know exactly what's going on. You know, like last night I got a chance to see Maddox pitch. I got a chance to see Hershiser pitch. And I knew exactly what they were throwing. I knew exactly what pitches everybody was swinging at, and I was fine at second guessing.
Hank, it's great to see you. Congratulations. You've been a tremendous asset to the sport. It's always good to see you.
Thank you very much.
All right, Bob.
Al, it's still nice to see Henry bringing his lunch to the ballpark. Brown bagging it.
You know, there is just no justice. I mean, Hank got all the ink. You cleared waivers 755 times. You didn't get any pub out of that, did you?
Nah, you know, I was one of those guys. I didn't worry about stuff.
Javi Lopez with a drive. And back goes Albert Bell to the 385 sign to glove it. Could not go another half step.
The more you see of Javi Lopez, the more impressed you become with not only his power, but his hitting ability. He is a good hitter, handles all the pitches. This is a breaking ball. He handles it well. He just barely gets under it, so he doesn't get it out of the ballpark. But he is a good hitter. Hit over 300. He is just a fine hitter. And a fine receiver as well.
Joe, did you see the look on his face right before he made contact? I mean, he knew what the pitch was going to be all the way, sitting on it, and I mean, he was gritting his teeth, biting his lip, and just missed.
Now Belliard. Playing in his 5th consecutive postseason. He was with the Pirates in '90. And now 4 straight postseason appearances as a member of the Braves. The breaking ball is a comebacker. Martinez takes care of him. And that brings us to tonight's Toyota Diamond Dust answer. Which former Yankee is the only pitcher other than Lefty Williams, whom we mentioned earlier, to lose 3 games in 1 World Series? A guess? 1981.
I'll say I'll say Frazier.
George Frazier, correct. Who? George Frazier, the right-hander, correct.
I was talking about the fighter.
Well, it wasn't Joe Frazier.
Yeah.
It wasn't Smoking Joe. It was George Frazier, who was not smoking in that postseason. He lost 3 games against the Dodgers out of the Yankee bullpen as Tommy Lasorda's team won the World Series.
Joe Frazier lost 3 too, so I was close.
Glavine struck out his first time. Fastball called strike 0-2.
Doesn't Henry look great, Joe?
Yes, he does.
He really does. He threw out the first ball tonight and enjoying life now. And as he said, sees a game whenever he wants to. And wife Billy with him down there.
Yeah, hard to imagine he wouldn't be able to see a game whenever he wanted. Calls the front office. Hi, this is Hank Aaron. A couple of ducats for tonight.
Sure.
I'm sorry, Mr. Aaron. We're sold out.
Sure, it's Hank. Cut it out.
Didn't you locker next to him?
I was locked in a locker next to him, yes.
Out of respect, there is still a locker for number 44
yes, sir.
At Fulton County Stadium. I imagine he liked to be near you. That would have been your locker. Just so that he could consult with you for tips.
Yes. Well, we kept a lot of our mail in that locker because we used to get so much, Hank and I. Yeah, he was, I'll tell you, he was a great guy to be around, and still is. Longtime friend. Played in Milwaukee to finish out his career as a Brewer.
Counts full to Glavine, and he draws a 2-out walk. Martinez has nothing like the command he had in Game 6 at Seattle.
No, as we said earlier, Bob, in talking about his location tonight, he's been upstairs a lot, and for Dennis to really be effective, I mean, the Dennis Martinez that we know as he misses on a low fastball to Glavine, the Dennis Martinez that we know is sinker, slider, fastball inside to move you back, curveball once in a while, and basically downstairs. In that game in Seattle, I mean, he was on or off the outside corner depending on who you are, right-handed, left-handed batter all night long. I never saw him pitch better than that one. I mean, not that he's pitched a bad ball game here tonight by any means, but he's been sharper.
1-0 to Grissom. Comes down sidearm. A chopper to short. Vizquel to Baerga covering. And they leave a man. And after 4, this game is still knotted at 2.
On the information superhighway, you need more than the latest technology.
Season. 3rd trip to the World Series. They still haven't won it all. Here's Glavine on that topic.
I think as a player, you kind of wonder how many chances you're going to get. And for this group of guys, we've had a lot of chances. And you know, when you look around at the Don Mattingleys and the Dale Murphys of the game, who don't have that many opportunities, didn't get that many opportunities, you have to wonder how many you're going to get. And you know, so that's a concern. And obviously, with the ever-changing economics of baseball, you wonder how long an organization is going to be able to keep a team like this together. So from those two standpoints, there's a sense of urgency.
On the first pitch, Pena hits it hard, but Justice runs it down and right. You know, Glavine mentioned the changing economics of baseball. He would know better than most. He's the Braves player rep, and he was among the most visible of the Player Association guys during all the labor strife, and the fans really took it out on him when they put the uniforms back on. Glavine, who was a very affable guy, well-spoken, he really took some abuse from the fans, and he was an upfront guy. He said, it's understandable. We took the game away from them, owners and players both. I understand that they need to vent some frustration. Bud Selig, with a guy who played for him briefly in Milwaukee for a couple of years at the tail end, Henry Aaron. Martinez makes contact. Justice again in right on 2 pitches, 2 outs in the top of the 5th. Another view from the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes from Pompano Beach, Florida. This is the 30th World Series Goodyear Blimps have televised. When does the term interim, or the word interim, disappear from in front of Bud Selig's name as Commissioner of Baseball? Presidents have had shorter terms.
Well, he's elated in Milwaukee anyway because of the new ballpark that is supposedly going to get underway next spring, due to be finished in 1999. But again, I think he enjoys the job, Bob, as the so-called interim commissioner. And again, I don't know how long he wants to keep it, if he wants to keep it on a permanent basis or not. It's a beautiful rented coat he has tonight anyway.
Well, it's one of the perks when you're baseball's nominal czar. Yeah, I know that. I know that. Voice of the Brewers. Lofton's 0 for 2. He has now been the interim commissioner longer than Fay Vincent was the actual commissioner following the death of Bart Giamatti.
That's not a bad payday, too, I guess. Has its rewards.
A ball and a strike to Lofton. I'm on my best behavior tonight. It's the World Series, and I'm enjoying myself, and so I'm reserving political commentary.
I can't believe how relaxed you are. Taking a lot of pressure off me.
The 1-2 pitch. Slapped to third, knocked down by Jones. He'll have to hurry. Hesitates. No, safe. When he double clutched on the throw, it was over, Joe.
Well, the ball was hit sharply. He knocked it down. He still had time, but he did not get a good grip on it. Now watch, he'll knock it down. Now watch, when he reached for it, he does not get a good grip right there. So he has to re-clutch, and when he does that, it's all over because Lofton is across the bag. The same play. Now watch. He knocks it down. He should have made the play originally, but when he reaches for it, he still has time. But he just does not get a good grip on it. He has to double clutch, and you can forget about it. That should be an error.
And it is, and the totals are now identical, 2-3-1 for both clubs. Let's see how long he waits. Doesn't go on the first pitch. Outside, ball 1.
Glavine does not have a great move to first base, but he varies his delivery to the plate. He will use a slide step occasionally, and other times he will go to the high leg kick. He will just continually change his motion and his pattern, which keeps the base runner off balance.
And we're talking tonight with Bobby Cox, too, in his catching situation here with O'Brien and Lopez, and we were talking about which would be the better of the two as far as throwing goes. He said they're both outstanding throwing catchers. This guy's got a great arm. Talking about Lopez, and I've seen O'Brien, and you have too, Joe. He's a super receiver with a very good arm.
You see the difference there? He used the slide step there. He went very quickly to the plate. Other times he will take a little more time. But the Braves pitching staff overall really do not hold runners very well.
Glavine did not have a single pickoff during the 1995 season. Now with the count at 2-0, the option of the pickoff is all but 100% of the pitch out rather is all but 100% removed. So let's see what Lofton does. Not going again, and Vizquel taps it foul.
Well, because he's changing his pattern to the plate. He used the slide step, then he lifts his leg, and so far Lofton has not been able to figure him out. In fact, I am more impressed with Lofton as a base runner than I am as a base stealer. There is a big difference between the two.
He has led the American League in swipes 4 straight years. He's going now. Vizquel takes it, and the throw is not nearly in time.
And that was not a good throw by Lopez. He did not get a good grip on the ball. Maybe there's something on the ball out there, because Lopez did not have a good grip on it. The ball seemed to slip out of his hand because he does have an excellent throwing arm. Lofton doesn't get a great jump. See, there's the slide step, but he gets a good enough jump so that when there's not a good throw made by Lopez. Now watch how, see, right there, he doesn't have it, and he bounces it to second base. He just did not get a good grip on it when he transferred it from glove to hand.
The pitch was a ball, so now the 3-1 bounces in front of the plate. Lofton's going to go to third on ball 4. And Baerga will have an RBI chance. Runners at the corners with 2 out.
Well, this is why I think he's a good base runner. He sees the ball go down, and he immediately anticipates that it's going to be a ball's going to get away from the catcher. Watch Lofton behind you. The ball bounces right away. He's going. He does not wait to see how far the ball bounces away. He's on his way right away, and that's what a good base runner will do. He anticipates the ball being in the dirt and bouncing away. You have to anticipate things as a base runner, and that's what Lofton does pretty well.
So a walk and a wild pitch on ball 4. And the hitter is Baerga, with Lofton at third and Vizquel at first. And Vizquel could be running here. He stole 29, and they'd be hesitant to throw through with the daring Lofton at third. Baerga grounded to short and fly to deep left. Ball strike 1.
I don't think they will let him go until Baerga falls behind an account, maybe 1-2, or gets 2 strikes. I think until that time they will give Baerga a chance to drive in the run.
Klesko way off the line and left.
Now Baerga, unless you really give him something off speed, Bob, and inside, he's not going to pull you. He's going to be left center to center right with power in the gaps. But again, as I said, if you give him something off speed, a change of pace or a breaking ball up that he can really jump on, that he'll pull.
Saw him homer to dead center in the pennant clincher off Randy Johnson, no less, in Seattle last Tuesday. 2-1.
You know, Joe, in talking about this ballpark, which they have named the launching pad, there have been a couple of balls hit tonight that I thought had chances to go, and especially the one by Lopez that really didn't carry that well at all.
Well, the last couple of years the ball doesn't seem to carry as well on certain nights because I think the wind has an effect on the ball.
Not going on the 2-1 pitch, which is sliced foul. Well, even the ball Eddie Murray hit out, he stood at the plate like it was a no-doubter, and it didn't get over the wall by all that much. Fans everywhere doing what the Kingdome fans started in tribute to Randy Johnson, rising with 2 strikes on the opposition hitter. Full count. So Vizquel will be off from first. Lofton at third. Tied at 2 in the top of the 5th.
Glavine still will not give in to Baerga on this pitch.
Right field, Justice coming on, has it. Some strange actions out there, but he made the catch. Justice was having some trouble with this when he wobbled a little bit. What do you think happened?
I think he lost the ball in the lights, Bob. You're exactly right. He made his initial run on the ball, then lost it momentarily, recovers, and makes a nice catch on a ball that I'm sure would have been routine. Baerga thought he had the base hit. It was a slicing liner. Baerga thought he had the base hit, a ball in the gap, but Justice made a nice play. He recovered very nicely. That's what David Justice was looking at on that slicing liner hit by Baerga.
Lemke as we go to the bottom of the 5th. Grounds 1-2 Baerga. And there's the first out. NBC's new Friday lineup is heating up with an all-new episode of Unsolved Mysteries. That's followed by Dateline and part 2 of the season premiere of the acclaimed drama series Homicide. You know, Robert Stack doesn't look all that different than from the Elliot Ness days, except he's in color now instead of in black and white.
He's still salving them, though.
And Walter Winchell isn't narrating it anymore. Up steps Chipper Jones. Hit the ball hard twice. Double to right. Sacrifice fly to left. Let's see if Thome can chase this one down. No. You look at Chipper Jones. Let's see if we can get a close-up of his face. There is at least a faint resemblance to the very young, I'm talking about 1952-53, Mickey Mantle. And in fact, his dad, Larry Sr., and Larry is Chipper's real first name, idolized Mantle and taught the youngster to switch hit in the fashion that Mickey's dad had done for him.
You know, I'll tell you a guy who he reminds me of. There is Chipper's wife, Karen Jones, and you may remember him, Bob. I'm sure Joe has seen a picture of him from time to time. Former Yankee third baseman Gil McDougall. That's who he reminds me of, really, facial-wise. And a lot of people are saying, who is Gil McDougall? Well, I'm not going to tell you.
Well, not in
I'm going to leave it right here.
In Cleveland, they know because he's the guy who hit the line drive that struck Herb Score, the great left-hander, and now the longtime voice of the Indians, in the head and short-circuited his career when he was one of the most overpowering left-handers in all of baseball in the 50s.
I mean, we're going back a ways with Gil McDougall, but I guess you are with Mickey too. But he being McDougall, an outstanding Yankee third baseman.
1 out, nobody on. 2-2 to Jones with McGriff on deck. He goes the opposite way, and it drops in front of Bell. He is a more mature hitter than his rookie status would lead you to believe at first glance, Joe.
Well, I think one of the reasons he's just having fun. He laid off last year without the entire season, so he comes back this year. He's just happy to be here, and he's still having fun. I mean, this is great for Chipper, and that's the way you're supposed to approach the World Series. This is supposed to be fun, although a lot of players aren't able to address it that way. And you see the reaction of his wife, Karen. She says, "Go, Chipper."
McGriff grounded to Martinez, then hit another comebacker, which Martinez deflected to Baerga for a 1-4-3 put out. So he's 0 for 2. Had the homer last night.
McGriff is one of those hitters that the more he sees of you, the more he adjusts to what you're trying to do. He can do a lot of different things. He can go the other way with you, and he can also pull you. And because Martinez is pitching him away, I expect him to find a gap in left center or right center, because he stays pretty much back through the middle when a guy stays away from him a lot.
He'll climb the ladder if you make a mistake at the letters or even shoulder high and wallop that high pitch out of the park by pulling it. But he'll also drop the bat on the ball inside or outside. and golf one down the right field line or take you out to the opposite field if you pitch him low and away. 3-0.
And especially if you're talking about a guy who does not throw an excess of 90 or somebody in the middle 90s to high 90s. There are a lot of guys that can jump on anything middle 80s to lower 80s upstairs. But those guys that can give you the extra heat upstairs, Bob, they're a little tougher to jump on. I don't care how good you are as a hitter. Any guys who throw in the high 90s, middle 90s, a little tougher.
Hershiser couldn't get it past him last night. Let's see if we got that flashback ready. Here it comes right here. This was a first pitch fastball, his first at bat. And Hershiser knew he'd made a mistake, and McGriff did not let him get away with it. Now sitting on a 3-0 pitch. Gives him the breaking ball, hits it hard to Baerga. There's one to Vizquel, and there's two. Swinging away on 3-0, he grounds into the 4-6-3. Through 5, still tied at 2.
My hands.
Martinez is truly mowing them down, but it's still a 2-all game. Glavine is 29, Martinez is 40. Martinez is a grandfather already, has an infant grandson. And here's another indication of the difference. Glavine's younger brother Michael was a Class A teammate, a first baseman in the Cleveland organization, of Dennis Martinez's son, Dennis Jr. They were both at Burlington, the Class A farm of the Indians this year. Dennis Jr. a pitcher, and Glavine's younger brother Michael a first baseman. All even tonight, and neither one with his best stuff. If either one of these guys is around come the 9th inning, I'll be surprised, and I think you fellas will too.
I'm surprised at that last story.
Here's Bell. I live to raise your eyebrows.
I know you do. I love it too. Do you believe it, Joe? Say it ain't so, Joe.
So when you guys are out at the 4-star restaurants, I'm calling room service. I'm hitting the books in the hotel. 2-0 to Bell, who singled and struck out.
I think this is a very key inning for Tom Glavine, because if he can get out of this inning, I think it throws a lot of pressure on the Cleveland Indians. If you can get them to the 6th inning and you're still tied into the bottom of the 6th, I think there's more pressure starts to build on the visiting team when you're in this situation. But you can see he is struggling here with Albert Bell because he doesn't want to make a mistake.
By my count, Glavine has been ahead with a first pitch strike only twice all night, and now he's behind 3-0 to Albert Bell with Murray on deck. Albert came into the postseason sizzling. 31 home runs in August and September, tying Babe Ruth's September record with 17. And a walk to lead off the 6th. Here's what Murray did his first time up. After a single by Bell, high fastball, and he takes it out over the left field wall. Klesko had no chance. That made him, Joe, the 3rd oldest player to homer in a World Series game. And look who's number 2 on that list for the Phillies against the Orioles in '83.
You mean I was still playing that when I was 40?
You were still thrilling them. You weren't playing. You were thrilling them.
Murray walked his second time up. Swings and misses.
But Glavine, like Martinez, will not give in to the middle of the lineup. And you see he walked Bell. He comes right back with a changeup to Eddie Murray.
He's a good double play man in Murray,
yes.
A guy who does not have a lot of speed. And again, in last night's game, beat a lot of sinking fastballs into the ground against Maddox.
Albert Bell at first, obviously not a threat to steal, but I'll tell you something. In a double play situation, He is like a Mack truck coming down.
Remember the play against Seattle with Joey Cora? Cora with a chance for a double play at second, and somehow Bell got there.
He will flatten you.
I mean, I'm telling you, he took a shot at Cora and stopped what would have been a double play. Got the force at second, but Cora had no chance to make any kind of a throw to first on a ball that could have been a double play ball. Should have, actually. Was hit very hard.
He and his twin brother Terry were football players in high school in Louisiana. Albert had football scholarship offers, went the baseball route at LSU. Two and one.
A lot of those big outfielders like to run over a little second baseman. I mean, that's what they do for a living. They love to do that.
A lot of times they tried to run over a second baseman who wasn't there.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. You have to make sure you're not there when they get there.
2-1 pitch hit in the air to center. Grissom comes in. There's the first out.
Another changeup that Murray hit off the end of the bat.
Grissom does play that shallow center field. I mentioned Paul Blair. Anybody else you can think of who played as shallow as Grissom?
Well, I had the opportunity to play sometimes with a guy who I thought was one of the best center fielders in my era, and I think Joe saw him play too, and that was Curt Flood. He played in St. Louis, and he played a deep center. He played a deeper center field. He had a great arm, and I mean his strong suit was charging balls that were hit into the gaps or into short center. And I mean, he got such a great jump on a ball and played a deep center. He didn't. I tell you what, if he hit something over Flood's head, it had to be out of the park.
1-0 to Ramirez. 1 for 2 tonight. Runner-up last year to Kansas City's Bob Hamlin in the Rookie of the Year balloting in the American League. Hamlin experienced the sophomore jinx, was sent back to the minors for a period of time this year. Ramirez continued to improve. 2-0, way outside with both of them.
And all of a sudden now Glavine has gone almost exclusively to the changeup. Now, when I say changeup, it doesn't mean they're all the same speed. He varies the speed even on his changeups.
Bell at first with 1 out on the 2-0 pitch. The change again.
Yeah, but see, that one was a different speed than the pitch before. And the one thing that Glavine has, he has great arm speed with his changeup. To have an effective changeup, you have to have great arm speed. And it stays on the same plane as his fastball. A lot of changeups will come in a little higher and sink a little bit. His, look at it, it's like a fastball, stays on the same plane, but the speed is different.
And Bell is back easily. You're seeing a pair of outstanding professional pitchers. Glavine in the prime of his career, 3-time 20-game winner, who is trying to find a groove.
Right.
Now he is just hanging in there and trying to find that comfort zone and get that mastery. He's never had it for more than a few batters at a time tonight. And the same could be said of Martinez. 2-1 pitch. 3 balls and a strike.
But you know, he's in the area where you as a hitter, and if there's somebody on and you got a chance to knock in a run, or you're in a tie game and you're a Ramirez or a Murray or a Bell, somebody who can hit the ball deep, you hate to walk. I mean, guys like that are up there to hit the ball deep and hit it hard. And that's what Ramirez wants to do. If there's something close and you think you can reach it and hit it hard, you go.
Like that, but he couldn't catch up with it. Glavine has walked 3. He's thrown a wild pitch, and he has consistently been behind Cleveland hitters. A call just received in the bullpen.
That was the bullpen coach, Ned Yost, and there is activity for Atlanta.
Tomey's on deck. A small chance that he could be going on 3-2.
Albert Bell with about a 4-step lead. He doesn't want to get picked off in this situation, not with Ramirez up there sitting 3-2 and only 1 out. McMichael and Bourbon. Left-hander, Bourbon.
Bell not going. 3-2 pitch fouled off.
And that was pretty good hitting there by Ramirez, because that's the first fastball that he has thrown him in this entire at bat.
As you see, Ramirez punished lefties this year, but I don't know that that stat applies here, because left-handed hitters do better against Glavine, as we mentioned at the beginning of the game, than righties generally do.
Saw Ramirez shaking his head. He had a good pitch to hit there, Joe, and missed it. I mean, just wasn't on it all the way.
Struck him out.
And you just know after he throws you a good fastball, he's going to follow that with a changeup, but not a lot that you can do, because, again, the good arm speed here, it looks like a fastball until you swing at it. You think it's a fastball, and all of a sudden it's not there yet. And he was a little late on the fastball the pitch before.
Hey, you could see him that time, Joe, reach for that change of pace. He was out on his front foot and really tries to extend himself to get it. Glavine on some of those changes, Joe, it almost has a screwball type effect, running down and away or running away from a right-handed batter with the off-speed stuff.
Glavine's third strikeout. He recovered from 3-1 to get it. Thome cuts and tips it foul for strike one.
But what a good changeup does to a hitter, it makes him slow his bat down, and then he has to try to speed it back up for a fastball. And that's what Maddux does so well. He makes the hitter slow his bat down, and then all of a sudden he'll throw you a fastball, and you have to try to catch up again.
Maddux threw 93 pitches in a complete game last night. Glavine is at 98 in the sixth. Shortstop Belliard takes it himself, beats Bell to the bag. They strand a man. We go to the bottom of the sixth. Glavine and Martinez still tied at 2. We're in to the pennant, 1990 to 91. We asked him before the series began what the difference is between the 1991 Braves and now this Atlanta team in its third World Series of the decade.
We could do no wrong, so we were in the best possible situation. But now, you know, it's a lot different. The expectations are so high for our ball club, and you know, if we win, great. If we lose, then everybody's gonna probably hate us here in Atlanta. So it's kind of tough, you know, what we got to deal with now. But hey, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I mean, this is my 6th year in the big leagues, and I've been to 3 World Series now. You know what I mean? And another playoff, you know, against the Phillies. So only thing more I can ask for is a World Series championship ring.
The World Series of 91 on the short list of the great World Series ever played. Twins and Braves battling through 7 taut games, most of them 1-run games, some of them extra innings. Then the next year they went 6 against the Blue Jays and lost the 6th game here in extra innings by a run, a man at third, the tying run at third, when their last hitter Otis Nixon tried to drag a bunt and almost beat it out as the series ended. The 1-0 pitch to Justice, who has walked and delivered an RBI single, just his 2nd run knocked home in this postseason.
I think what